The moon hung low, casting silver over the forest like a lover draping silk across bare skin. I wandered deeper into the trees, chasing the scent of something wild, something ancient that pulled me beyond reason. Then I saw him, a lone wolf standing still under the trees, his golden eyes meeting mine. I should have run, should have been afraid, but something deep in my bones whispered that he wasn't there to hurt me. His presence was magnetic, his energy not just beastly but human, as though a soul long buried had surfaced behind those eyes. I took a step closer, heart pounding like a drum echoing through time. He didn't move, didn't growl, only watched. The wind carried his scent, earth, pine, the sharp sweetness of longing. And when I reached out, trembling, he leaned in and brushed his head softly against my hand, like a secret only we could understand. I didn't speak, but something between us did, some language older than words. He turned then, silently beckoning, and I followed, knowing I would never be the same again. Through endless trails and moonlit shadows, I chased him deeper into his world. The trees closed in, branches whispering stories of creatures that once ruled the night. I watched the muscles in his back ripple under fur, as he moved, graceful and silent. Then suddenly, he stopped and turned again. His body trembled, and I watched in awe as the transformation began. Not grotesque but mesmerizing. Fur receded like waves into skin, limbs elongated, breath heavy, chest rising and falling with agony and ecstasy. And then he stood before me, not a wolf, not quite a man, but something in between, beautiful, broken, otherworldly. He looked at me with those same eyes, now filled with vulnerability and fierce need. I should have run, but I didn't. I stepped closer, lifted my fingers to trace the lines of his face, wondering how someone could be both hunted and haunting. He didn't speak, but I heard him, I felt him, and when he kissed me it wasn't just lips meeting lips. It was a promise, a pull, a bond that neither time nor nature could undo. We lay beneath the trees as the stars blinked awake above us. His body curled around mine like a shield against the cold night. Every breath he took matched mine, synchronized like twin heartbeats in the dark. His skin was warm and rough, like stone that had known centuries of wind and war. He told me without words of his curse, his loneliness of years wandering between forms, never truly man, never wholly wolf. And I listened, each heartbeat translating sorrow into love. He spoke of the first time he saw me, months ago at the edge of the forest, how he returned each night just to catch my scent in the wind. I had always felt eyes on me, but I never imagined this. Now I understood why I had always dreamed of running barefoot through the woods, why the moonlight called me like a lullaby. It wasn't fantasy, it was fate. And as he wrapped me tighter, I felt safe in a way I never had, like I'd finally found the home I never knew I'd lost. The nights passed like verses in a sacred hymn, each one sweeter, more aching than the last. We met under the moon's watchful eye, hearts laid bare beneath the silver canopy of stars. He taught me the ways of the forest, how to hear the river before I saw it, how to follow the tracks of foxes and birds, how to let silence speak. In turn I gave him my stories, my laughter, my touch. He marveled at the way I sang without fear, danced without shame, loved without limit. We created a world of our own, hidden between branches and breath. Yet there was a storm always on the horizon. He warned me that the world would never understand us, that his kind were hunted, feared, driven to extinction. But I didn't care. I would have followed him into the fire, into the coldest winter, just to keep him close. Love doesn't ask for logic or permission, it only demands truth. And mine was him, in every form, every sigh, every howl beneath the stars. One night he didn't come. I waited, heart twisted in knots, every shadow a threat, every rustle a prayer. I searched the paths we'd walked, called his name into the wind, though I knew he couldn't answer in words. Days turned to weeks, and grief became a second skin. I didn't eat, I barely slept. The forest grew colder, crueler without him. And then one evening, as twilight smeared the sky with bruises, I heard the cry, a howl, distant and desperate, echoing through the trees like a soul calling for its twin. I ran, barefoot, bleeding, chasing that sound as if my life depended on it. It led me to a clearing I'd never seen, where he lay wounded, torn from battle, his body shuddering, eyes filled with pain. I dropped beside him, sobbing, pressing my hands to his wounds, whispering everything I'd never said. He shifted again, fragile and bleeding, into the man I knew. You came, he said, voice hoarse and raw. Always, I whispered. And in that moment, my tears became the promise that I would never leave him behind. I took him back to my world, wrapped him in blankets and moonlight, fed him soup and stories, held him through the fevers and the screams. He'd been hunted, ambushed by those who feared what they didn't understand. They didn't know he wasn't a monster. He was more human than anyone I'd ever met. His recovery was slow, but love doesn't measure time, it only gives. I kissed every scar, traced each mark of survival with reverence, like scripture. He told me he didn't deserve me, I told him he was wrong. If love was madness, then I welcomed insanity. If loving a cursed soul made me damned, I'd dance into hell smiling. We began to dream of a life beyond hiding, of cabins built with our hands, of a garden wild with herbs and moss, of a child who would one day run with wolves and still sleep in our arms. We imagined a place untouched by fear, where we could exist without masks, where he could shift without shame and I could love without loss. Hope, once faint, became a flame between us. Seasons changed, and the forest bloomed again with promise. He no longer flinched at every shadow, no longer hesitated before reaching for me. His strength returned, but his eyes never lost that flicker of sorrow, of lifetimes lost, of love never given a chance to grow. I became his anchor, and he my wildfire. We built our sanctuary on the edge of the woods, where the trees kissed the sky and the wind always sang of freedom. Every night he would shift and run, and I'd watch him free, fast, radiant. Then he'd return to me, naked and glowing, and we'd fall into each other like gravity was a blessing. The world beyond our forest still turned with its judgments and its fears, but inside our realm we were gods of our own making. He would look at me and say, "You saw me when no one else did," and I'd answer, "You called to something in me I didn't know existed." We weren't just in love, we were made of love, woven from it, burning with it. But the world has a cruel way of punishing what it does not understand. One cold morning, the hunters came. Their boots trampled our wildflowers, their guns gleaming like betrayal. They claimed they were protecting people, that he was dangerous. I stood between them and him, screaming, pleading, unyielding. But fear doesn't listen. They fired and time shattered. I fell to my knees, his blood hot on my skin, his eyes wide with shock, then soft with sorrow. But he didn't die, not truly. With one final howl, he transformed, not into a beast, but into something radiant. Light burst from his skin, like dawn breaking through death. The hunters fled, terrified, and I crawled to him, sobbing, cradling him in my arms. He smiled, even as pain racked his body. "They can't kill love," he whispered. And then he was gone, his body dissolving into wind and moonlight, into the very breath of the forest. I screamed until the trees wept with me, but his scent never left, nor did the warmth of his touch. He became the wild, the wind, the stars. Now, every night I walk the forest paths barefoot, whispering his name like a prayer etched in breath. The moonlight follows me, and sometimes, I swear I hear footsteps behind me, soft, padded, familiar. The world tells me to move on, to forget. But how do you forget the soul that redefined the word love? I wear a necklace made from the wolf tooth he gave me, and when I close my eyes, I feel his heartbeat again. The trees remember him, the rivers sing of him. I live not in sorrow, but in sacred remembrance. Love, after all, never dies. It transforms. It runs through roots, through dreams, through the skin of every night that cradles the stars. I know one day I'll find him again. Maybe in another life, maybe in another form. Until then, I wait, I love, I remember. Because once under the full moon, I met a wolf who became my world. And though he is gone, his love still howls in my blood. Forever wild, forever mine.